You know, this you've said, basically all you've said is things that you're working on, plans that are there, but they're not being communicated. So both the investors and the citizens are wondering, okay, you're working on it. What exactly are you working on? As they will say, line upon line, precept upon precept. How do we know? If I want to plan my life now, I know that, okay, this government says they are working on some things that will bring down interest rates in the next, is it 6 months, is it 8 months, is it 1 year? So I know that between now and the next 6 months to 1 year, this is what I need to do so that 1 year I can do what I'm actually planning to.
Okay, well, sometimes I've heard this before, so about communication. And we've been trying. We need to do better. We have, every quarter, we meet with the private sector. And we tell them exactly what we are doing. Anytime if the budget is thing, I give a briefing, I say what we're doing. We use every opportunity to say what we're doing. We have published a booklet. We have this, which I have here, on the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which we have on the strategic protection plan of the 2016 budget. We prepared it. We distributed it very widely. We have, this is the abridged version of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. We've also distributed them very, very widely. Even when we did the labs, we also produced this, and we distributed it very, very widely. On our website, all this information is there. On the website of the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, on the website of the Budget Office, on the website, the Villa website, the presidency website, all those things. We're churning out this information as fast as we can. Maybe we need to do more. We'll continue. Because until we get this information out to every single Nigerian, we will not rest. We will continue to do so.
We'll also continue after the break.
Yes,
so we'll come back to this in a moment.
Thank you.
Don't go away.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Sunrise Elite, our concluding moments now. But Honourable Minister, I'm just wondering, speaking a little bit about budget implementation. What is there any arrangement to provide funding for capital projects, for instance, so that there will be no time lag between when the budget is approved and implemented, so that those projects can keep going on?
Yes, we are ready. We've only just received the budget, so we're going through to analyze it. When we finish, we'll now be able to advise Mr. President. But once it is signed into law, we'll roll out straight away. The Ministry of Finance is already setting aside funds so that as soon as, because we can't afford to waste time. The budget, we're already going into June, and so we need to show serious impact before the end of the year.
Now, those focus labs that you carried out, and how you called the private sector, the public sector to identify what challenges do they have so you can sort it out. Now, how does this affect workers in the civil service?
The focus lab is about the private sector. It's basically, but what we are doing is getting a new way of thinking. Before, you had the public service and the private sector, and people felt that they were in competition. There was hostility. What we're trying to do is bring everybody together to say we have a common purpose, that when the private sector grows, we get more money and we can pay the civil servants. So they should see that they have a joint thing. So it's a whole new way of thinking.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, because yes, that may be good all by itself, that singular act, but are there reforms in the civil service such that, you eventually, you won't need this kind of focused labs. You can go in there, get your business done, and you're moving without anybody going home with your file and not seeing it again?
I know the head of civil service is working on civil service reforms, but really we're talking about a different thing. There'll always be issues. Anytime somebody wants to invest, there'll always be issues. And what we are trying to do is bring everybody together in the same place so that you can fast track.
Like a one-stop shop?
One-stop. Fast track the resolution of issues. Issues there will always be. So what we want to do, because there are certain regulatory functions of government, because you can't have a free-for-all. There are certain things that have to be regulated. The telecoms area has to be regulated. The petroleum sector has to be regulated. So there's some regulation. But what we're trying to do is to try to make sure that is the regulatory authorities, we can speed up the processing of things generally.
How do you respond to Nigerians who are not as optimistic as they were in 2015 when your administration came in? Some will say that you have delivered far less than you promised on the economy when you came into office.
Well, I think it's information. We need to let them know what we have done. I tend to find that people, when we engage with them, when I engage with people and I talk to them and I explain, they say, wow, people have done this much, but we didn't know. So it is our responsibility.
Able to feel it.
It's our responsibility. Yes, you see, the feeling, you know, I made this thing about jobs. The more jobs we can create, new jobs we can create, the more people will feel it. Because ultimately, the way you take people out of poverty is to create jobs.
But how do we do this without the electricity supply?
That is also improving. That is improving. If you actually do a survey, you'll find that most people are getting a little bit more electricity today than they were getting 2 years ago. We are delivering an additional 2,000 megawatts of electricity. We're also doing, one of the things that we're doing, we're also identifying, because we can't do everything overnight, we're also identifying some clusters, some industrial clusters, commercial clusters, that we can fast-track electricity supply to them. We're also looking at special economic zones, you know, in various parts of the country, in all the 6 geopolitical zones, that we can fast-track electricity to them as well. So you find that as we do more and more, and people will begin to actually feel it, and you will see people commending the government.
Right.
But we need, as I said, we certainly need to do more in terms of communication, but that we have done a lot is undisputed. That we're in a better place today than when we came in is undisputed. That the economy is moving up, the direction of movement is up, is undisputed. All those are facts, not just from NBS figures. If you look at the World Bank, IMF, any analysis that is being done of the Nigerian economy,
we're going to have to throw it back to the people.
We're moving up.
All right, we'll throw it back to them. Let us know how you feel about all this that the minister has said has been done. But thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Senator Udoma, the Minister of Budget and National Planning. National planning, the same thing.
National planning, yes.
All right.
National planning.
Okay, then. So there you go. That's the show today. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain.
I'm Alpe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Neota Igbe.
And I'm Gimba Umar. Bye for now.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.